Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eden Fractal. We're here for our 2-year anniversary, our 102nd event. I'm so pleased that you're here with us. Thank you for joining. I'm also very pleased to welcome Eric and Eric, two Erics. Eric joining for the first time, founder of Ronnie's Pizza, doing a lot of great work, and we've been collaborating with Genesis Fractal. Matt as well. We've done amazing collaborations from the Genesis Fractal too, so really appreciate you two joining, as well as Shans and Jorge. Great to see you again, and Rosmari and Turquoise. Welcome to all the new people, and thanks everybody so much for joining. I'm Dan, and I'm going to share a little intro presentation to Eden Fractal and what we'll be doing at today's event. If anyone wants to say hello at any point, then feel free, if you're free to wave or anything like that. But otherwise, I'll get into a quick presentation, then we'll get into today's agenda. So happy anniversary. As I said, we started meeting back on June 8th of 2022, and here we are on June 12th of 2024. We celebrated a little bit last week. For anyone who's not familiar, you can check out edenfractal.com. It's a community that creates innovative games, shows, and tools. And we have a vision that all communities and organizations should have the tools and methods to make the best possible decision-making. That collective decisions should be fair, fast, and fun. You can learn more about our vision on edenfractal.com/vision and see how we came to consensus about this using our decision-making processes. And we also have a mission to implement fractal decision-making processes throughout society via collaborative research, development, education, gamification, and community engagement. Another link where you can learn more about our mission. And we host weekly events. We've been doing this for the past 2 years now, where we optimize decision-making with consensus games and decision-making processes. So it's a great place to collaborate with talented innovators, such as everybody here, learn fractal cooperation, and help create the future of collective coordination and public goods and create a better society for all. And we also produce videos of every episode too, so everybody can watch and learn and take part. We produce over 100 videos that you can check out, and we encourage you to do so and share and join. And we're building tools too on several different networks for everybody to cooperate with these fractal decision-making processes as well, that you can learn about on the website. So there's also a chat where you can learn more, and more links that you can dive into deeper. Check out lou.ma/Eden Fractal and invite friends. We really love to meet new people, and we meet every Wednesday at 16 UTC. So you can register for weekly email reminders here to join in on all the fun and profound benefits that we're doing here. And we put out some nice tweets and promotional messages and so forth from Eden creators, and also from several different accounts. We appreciate when people share and help promote the communities and the events and all the tools we're building. So today we're going to be celebrating the amazing visionaries of fractal democracy, and also Eden Fractal is the longest running fractal community now too. So celebrating how it's been going with Eden Fractal as well. And then we'll basically be playing a game where everybody can share a fractal story. So you can learn more and well, join at these links below. We have a Telegram group where we share the links, so everybody's basically gonna get a few minutes to share any kind of thoughts or experiences or hopes for fractal communities. I'm also going to be giving out a commemorative mint on Base, which is working to bring the world on chain and create a global economy that increases innovation, creativity, and freedom. Really exciting stuff. And I'm going to give out some beautiful artwork for anybody who would like it. And then I think it's a great opportunity to rejoice, show the strength of our fractal ecosystem. There's many amazing leaders who have been pioneering these practices for the past few years, and come together and inspire the next generation of leaders to implement these fractal governance processes and decision-making processes throughout society. Also, special thanks to the Go Fractally team for all the marvelous work in building the Fractally process over the years. It's something that brought us together, and James Mart's actually one of the members of there. So huge shout out to everybody from the Fractally team, and thanks everybody so much for all the help. It's really greatly appreciated. It's been such a pleasure working with everybody and collaborating with everybody here, and very excited for what we'll do in our 3rd year. There's a little overview of some of our accomplishments here, and just another thanks too. So really want to say thank you. Thank you for everybody who registered too and joined again for the first time, or it's really great to reconnect. So I think this would be a really great opportunity, because we're really close to, I think, exponential growth of fractal communities with several different tools and networks and so forth like that. So I think this would be a really great way to show more people about why fractals are so helpful, and I'm really excited to hear your fractal stories. So you can watch all the videos on edenfractal.com/videos. For example, we talked about fractal stories last week, but we talked a little bit about stories, and we figured we invite more people for this week. And then also, if anybody shared a story already, then feel free to share another story, because there's so much we could discuss. And then Rosmari had put together these beautiful thumbnails, and she's working on also descriptions for each one of these too. So if anybody wants to learn about what we've been doing for the past months and so forth, we've been discussing our product packaging and creating new topics games and pioneering governance and so forth. So she recently put out all these videos you can learn more about how we're building products and strategy and so forth to grow these decision-making processes throughout society. So recommend checking them out. There's also a, there's also a YouTube channel. You can go back and watch our first episode, our 53rd episode, where we celebrated our anniversary last year as well, where Jorge shared a great speech, as well as many others too. So all sorts of cool stuff you can see where we've been finding these fractal processes. And we have a YouTube channel, Eden Creators, where you can learn more as well and watch a bunch of great videos from several different fractals who are using these. And we host these events, as I said, every Wednesday, 16 UTC, and also Optimism Fractal, which is another fractal community where we're using these processes every Thursday at 7 UTC. So everybody's welcome to join both of these, and you can learn more about Optimism Fractal at optimismfractal.com, where everybody's very much encouraged to join, and we really appreciate it. And you can also check out the videos from these events as well. So that's a little bit from my brief presentation here too. Yeah, that's basically it. So let me just pull up the agenda for today, because I kind of skimmed over that. But the topic that was proposed for today, so each week we play a little game called Agendas, where people can vote with respect that they earn in meetings when we play something called the respect game. But what we're doing now is basically just anybody can propose a topic in the Telegram chat. And so I propose a topic for this week, as I said, fractal stories. So basically everybody can just feel free to share your experience with fractal community. We've all had a lot of great experiences, or you can talk about any fractal community. This is in support of all fractal communities, anybody who's doing fractals. So feel free to share whatever is on your mind about fractals, and we'll celebrate till the top of the hour. And then that's basically it. If you want to also share an EVM address or ENS name, then I can share the mint with you. And you can go 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, and just share anything on your mind that's related. And I'm very much appreciative of everybody for being here, and looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts. Also welcome Emplaney and June Tam and Zaal. Thanks so much for joining, and hope that everybody has a wonderful event. So would anybody like to kick us off? If anybody has any questions about the agenda or anything like that, then feel free to ask. But otherwise, if anybody would like to kick us off and go first and share their fractal story, then the floor is open and anybody can jump in.
I just have a question, quick question. So Fractal is still with the EOS community or Optimism? Well, it's been quite some time I joined. Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for the question, San. So the concept of fractal doesn't need to work with any particular ecosystem or blockchain network, and we're building on multiple different public networks or blockchain technology right now. So there's fractal communities who are building fractal tools on the EOS network, and then there's also fractal communities who are building now on Optimism. For example, I'm hosting the Optimism Fractal event, where we're building in the Ethereum ecosystem, and we have EVM-based tools now. And then there's also the Sybase team, who is the original Fractal team, is also building another network as well, called Sybase, another network infrastructure that could be used for this too. So Fractal is expanding across multiple different networks, and we're building tools that enable any community organization to use whatever kind of network architecture they prefer to do fractal process on top of it.
Makes sense.
Yep, and of course, it can also be played outside of public networks and stuff like that. People could just play it in their own home or in their town hall and stuff like that. So it's a very broad process. But I hope that answers your question. And I see Jorge is unmuted. So Jorge, if you want to kick us off with a story, or if anybody else wants to jump in, then feel free.
Yeah, I just had a question. The Fractally team, the original Fractally team, is actually deployed. Has actually deployed anything on Sybase already? Is there? I mean, are there fractal meetings taking place right now?
No, my understanding is, yes, maybe I should have been more clear with that in my answer, but my understanding is that their Sybase team is building Sybase, and they're aiming to have a public network launch or a network launch and the software ready before the end of the year at some point. So I imagine within the next 5 or 6 months, but I haven't, I'm not totally sure about that. And I'm pretty sure that it hasn't been used for fractal processes yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. I see Matt's unmuted.
Yeah, I'd like to share a fractal story. So I think the first question about blockchain is an important one that inspired me. So the inventor of fractal democracy, Dan Larimer, in his book, More Equal Animals, he explicitly designed it where it didn't require a blockchain or any technology. It was a purely paper and pencil invention, a marvelous invention. And the first group of people to try this out, the Genesis Fractal, did it exactly that way. It was all paper and pencil. There was no blockchain. The only technology we used was Zoom. And to me, the takeaway from that experiment was really eye-opening. to me. I read the book, More Equal Animals. I saw the interviews that Dan did with Mike Maloney, and it really inspired me to want to be involved in this. The Genesis Fractal started in February of 2022. It ended in September of 2022. There were exactly 30 meetings, and it was all paper and pencil. And to me, it intuitively, like the idea of fractal democracy makes intuitive sense. But as a scientist, I wanted to, that wasn't enough for me. Like it felt right, but my sort of my nature and my background is to make sure that things are provably secure. And so my contributions to that, to the Genesis Fractal, was to really focus on the provable security of fractal governance. I'll post in the chat some of the research I did around Genesis Fractal. I think that's still very relevant. I think people trust it. People who are on the current people who practice this, I think intuitively trust it and use it to great effect. But I still think the research behind it is an important element. It gives fractal democracy a bit of provable legitimacy. I think it's not just intuitive legitimacy. And I stopped participating in the meetings, not because I didn't think it was a great thing. It was that I felt like I had made the contributions I could. Like I think supplying the provable security was something that it will be around. Like it was enough for me to prove that it was a good thing, a trustable invention. Another piece of anecdotal evidence was the people in my rural community were really inspired by fractal democracy. They're not technologists. They have never heard of Zoom, but I gave them books. I gave them More Equal Animals. They read it. It really inspired them. They had become disillusioned with their current governance, current governance structures. Many of them had just stopped voting because they just didn't trust it. But it sparked an excitement in them, and they wanted to learn more. And so people in my little rural community use it. So you will never hear of them. They would never be on videos like this. They're very private people, but they use fractal democracy with paper and pencil to great effect. So that practice is sprinkled around, at least in my community. I don't know if it's in other rural communities, but it's something that's used for people to govern themselves, private people to govern themselves. So this is an example of, like this meeting is an example of people who are technologists who are very, very savvy. And it works to great effect, but it also works for people who've never heard of a blockchain, will never use a blockchain, will never use Zoom. They just meet weekly to discover who is contributing, making sure that the contributions are aligned with the community, using paper and pencil to write it down and to hand out units of respect. So that's my story. I'll put link. I still maintain that original Genesis studies that I did. I'll put links to it in the chat if anyone is interested in learning about the history of sort of this provable security of fractal governance and would ever want to build on it.
Thanks so much, Matt. That's a wonderful story. And as I said before, it's a huge pleasure collaborating with you at Genesis Fractal, and really great to hear that it's happening in the local community. Yeah, please do share those links so everybody can see it. Welcome, Pascal, June. Thanks everybody so much for joining. Great to see you, Pascal. Happy anniversary. Welcome, Gudasol. Thank you. And I see Eric has his hands up, so I suppose we could pass over to Eric now.
Yeah, it just fits a lot with what Matt's doing. For those that don't know, as I'm doing my doctoral dissertation on using fractal governance, and last week I told the story of more of my dissertation. This is kind of a different take in it. Is been talking a lot to nonprofit organizations. The big things they tell me is they want more funding, they want higher quality, quantity of services, and they want lower operating costs. So I've connected that to saying, well, one way you do that is by motivating your volunteers and engaging them and using this fractal governance in doing that. But what people may not know is the other thing iValue Global, the organization I'm with, is doing is we are amplifying nonprofit missions through digital transformation. What that means is we continually match what resources they really have with the IT projects that will most amplify their mission continually. So most organizations don't have a strategy. Less than a third do. Of those that have a strategy, less than 10% can execute it. But almost everybody who's really succeeding has a well-executed strategy. So part of it is helping them come up with their mission. But when they do the digital part of that, they treat that separately. Here's how you build the digital platform, and over here's mission. So what we're doing is we're linking the mission specifically to those digital projects. And we have some models we've developed that allow us to match that and imagine to track the digital maturity and say exactly here's how you need to grow to do that. But one of the key factors that we've discovered in this digital transformation is culture. If you don't have that culture for digital transformation, you can't get, you can do little projects and move things, but to get where you need to go at some point, it becomes really absolutely critical. So in addition to this idea of, telling them about, if you want all this stuff, motivate your volunteers, here's a great way to get them engaged, fractal governance. But what we've been going is saying you need to build digital culture. So I've been playing with this idea of you need engagement to build the digital culture if you want to amplify your mission by using digital technology. So that's a slightly different take on what I talked about before. So, I think there's a lot of uses, and it's like what Matt Langston said, they don't care about technology. They don't care about any of that. Dan knows, he was on an experiment I did with a bunch of older artists who didn't even want to get on Zoom. That was a major undertaking, and I got them very excited. And they actually made changes in their organization, even changing their name and structure. And they did quite a lot of things as that fractal experiment. And they didn't even understand the fractal part. They just got together and into breakout rooms. So Dan's seen how they kind of came along just by doing that process. So it really builds team building, communication, trust, in addition to the decision-making part. So using that one just from the volunteer motivation angle, but using that also now for the digital transformation angle. And so we're going back with our first case study and engaging them on the digital transformation side. So I'll leave it at that.
So Eric, I have a follow-up question. Since you're doing doctoral dissertation, did you measure the qualitative aspect on previous, like the moment you did the introduce the fractal governance, the qualitative and quantitative change before and after introduced?
Well, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting ready to do a lot of what I did was validate the needs of nonprofits. Then I linked those needs to volunteer motivation. Then I linked extrinsic motivation leading to intrinsic motivation by using process, and I connected that anecdotally with what we did before. And now that's exactly what I'm going to doing. I'm measuring motivation, then giving appreciation, then measuring motivation again. So see if I can get some numbers to actually back up what Matt and I talked about. And a lot of us, we know anecdotally this is fun, it engages people, but can I get some numbers to add some, credibility, academically to what they're doing. So that's the stage I'm going in right now, is to go collect that data over the next, 4 months or so.
Great. Do you have a website where you could keep track of your activities?
Nope. No, it's dissertation process. So I'm meeting with my dissertation committee every week. That's what.
Keep a Notion page and we track it. It'd be fun for the group to track. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't have our case study we did with the San Diego Diplomacy Council for the digital transformation either. So I'm trying to get my ducks in a row before I tell the world about this stuff. Not too much. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to say, let's talk about case studies. So for the digital transformation, we just finished one, so I want to do 2 more. Then I'll publish all that, and then I want to finish the research, because we don't need to track if it doesn't work so much. Maybe lessons learned, but I'm more interested in say, hey, this works, here you go.
I just wanted
and
to
we may put it out. We published the book on digital transformation. That's on Amazon, so we may put this in a book also.
I just want to understand the process, then the outcome, for the change, the mentality change, adoption, your challenges.
Right. So there's
so
the process of what I'm doing to do that is just assign appreciation, put it on a leaderboard. So we do that like we've always done it. The other part is, how do you measure motivation? I'm using a survey that's been heavily validated and that I have permission from the authors to use for my dissertation. So I'm going to give that survey at the beginning, then go measure appreciation, and then use a survey at the end. And there's a lot more I could be doing, but I'm just trying to do the minimum to get the dissertation done. We can do more after that. Cross correlate all kinds of things.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Also, Sean's so Eric has been joining Eden Fractal he's been joining Eden Fractal every week too, on Wednesdays too, and providing updates about it. So that's a great opportunity if you want to ask him more questions and follow his progress. And we also can share links. I've done an episode with Eric talking about this that I could share with you afterwards that you can follow up with, and happy to follow up. Also, thanks for the question, Sans. And I wanted to also just bring up the time too, because we didn't know how many people were going to join today. And so sometimes we do a timer where people can speak for certain lengths, so we make sure that we have time for everybody to speak. But I was just counting, and there's about 10 or 11 people who haven't spoken yet, and we have a half hour scheduled for the meeting too. We have an hour scheduled. I'm happy to go longer too, and in previous meetings we have gone longer, but just want to put that out there so we make sure that we have every chance to speak. I saw Joshua joined, a great leader in fractals, and he said that he has to host a meeting in an hour. He said apologies for being tardy, no problem. He's got lots of cool stuff going on, it sounds like. But if anybody has a hard stop at the top of the hour, then feel free to jump in sooner. And also, if I suppose maybe it's good to put on 3-minute timer, but also at the same time, a lot of like amazing leaders here too. And so I'm happy to go for longer. I don't want to cut off a great story too. So just want to put that out there if anybody has any preference there. But if everybody could try to keep their stories less than about 3 minutes, that would be great. But also feel free, if you do want to share a longer story, then maybe just wait after other people have gone, and then we'll see how much time we have then. And with that, I suppose we could pass it on to whoever goes next. I see Matt shared some great links to the dashboard that he was talking about there. So thanks very much for sharing those. And yeah, props to Rosmari for reaching out to everybody too. So thanks everybody so much for joining us here at the anniversary. Thanks Pascal for happy 2nd anniversary Eden Fractal. Really appreciate it. And would anybody like to go next and share their fractal story? If we like, we could also do some sort of system where like people write in the chat if they want to go next too, so we can maybe save a bit more time and be efficient there. But otherwise, yeah, also raise hands too. Feel free to raise your hand to say if you want to go next.
I see Pascal is unmuted.
I see Jorge is unmuted too, so either way.
Yeah, you go first, Rosmari, please. Enjoy us.
Oh, I didn't want to speak right now, but I can go if you want.
Well, she also shared a story last week too, so maybe it's best to, we haven't heard from you in a while, Jorge. So maybe it's best to, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, I would like not to share a story, but to nominate someone to share a story. I would like to nominate Gudasol.
Gudasol was the big winner last time, actually. When we did the voting.
Haven't heard from him since long time.
Good to see you, Jorge. I didn't volunteer, and I don't think that you can nominate me until after you go.
Okay, well, Jorge, would you like to go? Or also Pascal's unmuted too. So if anyone would like to go, feel free to start. Okay. Pascal?
Hello?
Hey.
Okay. Happy 2nd anniversary to everybody. I'm happy to be here. Thank you to Rosmari for reaching out. Thank you to all the fractals, the alumni, the whole gap or fractal process. So in terms of experience, I would say I'm happy to see how the fractal initiative has spread out. Today we are celebrating Eden Fractal. We have Optimism Fractal, Upscale Fractal, Alien World Fractal, Zeus Fractal. So these experiments going up everywhere have shown us how we can try different things, and then on different chains. I was amazed to see how Mohd is experiencing off-chain fractal, which is good to know about the experiments. Or what Eric just said about the academic part of it. So it's a good thing we have the opportunity to share it with others. On my own side, I always advocate for a fractal where there is a way to, because fractals, it's a DAO. So I don't know any DAO in the blockchain space that doesn't have its own way of being sustainable in terms of its own funding, its own liquidity, its own projects, decentralized. So I've always experienced on-chain fractals that has its own liquidity. It's called economy, autonomous economy, like Alien World Fractal, and like what upscale is currently doing in terms of distributing rewards to those that are attending meetings. So sharing their contributions. So it's good. It's good. I haven't saw in terms of technically speaking how it's deployed on Optimism. Maybe Dan will share it sometime. But I'm happy to see it goes into other chains, like Wax, yours, Optimism, and other chains can. Yeah. So it's a good experience. Let's keep it on and build the community, build communities, and at some point we will find out that Antelope can be the link between all those fractals and then create values. So, but I want to see some token. After 2 years of celebration, I would have said the communities have done okay. I went to this meeting 10 times, but what does it give me? That's how I can measure a value of a DAO. There's no DAO in the blockchain space that doesn't have its own value. So the only way that you can really measure the value of what the community is building, the number of participants, and if there is a token, the value of the token. So that's my experience so far. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Pascal. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, so good to see you, Pascal.
Yeah, likewise. I'm so thankful for everything you're doing. It's been such a pleasure collaborating with you at Genesis Fractal, Eden Fractal, and Alien Worlds Fractal. Thank you for pioneering the Alien Worlds Fractal. Pascal is hosting it, and there's a Telegram group that we can check out. I like to read up on and really excited about all the stuff that you're doing there. So, yeah, just quick comment. You asked about the optimism tools. By the way, Tadas, I announced last week, Tadas is building some really great fractal software for the EVM as well, and there's other developers there. So if you or anybody else is interested in that EVM software, we'll be sharing more details there soon, and also working on made great points about funding too. But anyway, I don't want to speak too much. So thank you so much, Pascal. And would anybody like to go next?
Okay, I will not know.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's the best way to do it. The person who speaks nominates the next person, and so we can be more efficient, unless somebody wants to raise their hand and volunteer to go next.
Well, thank you, Pascal. But there are so many stories to tell, and first of all, it's a big honor, one of the biggest honors for me for this year to have these people today, to have you, Mohd, here, people who are truly sincere in this purpose. Same for Pascal and same for Josh and Dan. So many stories to tell. I would like to highlight two of them. One of these stories was the stopping of the Genesis Fractal, which, as far as I remember, was due to regulation. And the landscape, the legal landscape back then looked pretty gloomy. But since then, we have had 2 ETFs approvals from the SEC, the SEC. We now have a new bull market. We have thousands of new tokens, many of them scams, many of them meme coins. And back then, it was hard to see whether we should proceed or not. I was very emphatic that we needed and we had to proceed. That was the moment to be brave, because at the end of the day, we weren't doing anything wrong. So that was, of course, a learning experience that I think we should keep in mind and in our souls, that it was a bluff. It was some kind of, just like COVID, a bluff based on fear of what they were going to do, but they couldn't do it, because at the end of the day, no one can stop a population or an idea when its time has come. And the second story that I like to highlight is the story of the Eden Fractal, which is the opposite, is the epitome, the pinnacle of persistence against all odds, and looking a possible strategy, a possible exit anywhere they can. And now they are like a virus spreading in the optimism environment and EVMs, and it's pretty inspiring, I like to say. So yeah, those are my 2 stories of the days. Thank you very much. I'm very honored again to be here.
Thank you so much, Jorge. I'm very honored to be collaborating with
Now
you
I
too.
can nominate Joshua, please us with your story.
Thank you, Jorge. Good to see you guys. I'm in the background work, getting ready for some meetings. I guess I would like to just acknowledge all of you guys and maybe the wider community that's not here for continuing to press forward in the ways that feel good and resonate to you. It's been awesome to see. I like coming to a meeting like this and seeing that the flame that was already kind of there, that Dan and the Fractal team kind of helped spark and fan that flame and amplify it and stuff like that among us, that you guys are all still kind of rocking and rolling, and that there's things going on, even that maybe many of us are not able to keep up on, but there's just so much activity happening, seemingly moving in the right direction. I personally, I'm kind of really, I don't know if this would match the intention of what we're talking about, but I'm really leaning into more of the parallel society dynamic, which I think is what like DAOs and fractals and stuff are really all about. And I like the idea of progressing from a startup society into a network union, and then a archipelago, and then eventually a network state. Maybe those terms aren't important, but I like the idea of that progression, going through those phases. And most of the work I've been doing since the Genesis Fractal has been moving in creating a particular parallel society. And I think we're ready to go super into software development mode, like following a really strict roadmap. And I think the project is pretty ambitious for the software. If I was going to describe where I think it's going long term, I think it's going to be a super society software. And I'd really like to see some of the other elements of the Fractally white paper come together. I know some of you have already developed things even before Fractally published their white paper, and since then some of the other components. But I'm keen to see like a more of a holistic system come together. I think the network state is interesting because it's kind of sparked the convergence of different movements. But as normal, I think you guys know me, like I'm not really a fan of unopinionated systems. I have a very opinionated view of how I'd like to see these systems applied for mutual benefit. And either way, I'm happy to see you guys are moving forward. I'm actually in talks with I think you guys are calling it the Optimistics team, and behind the scenes, that I'm very excited about what you guys are all doing. So thanks for inviting me. I'll be here on time next week. I'll try to make this a regular thing in my calendar if this is the normal meeting time, but I always have like 3 meetings after this.
Wonderful. Great story. Thank you so much, Joshua, and really appreciate you trying to make time in your schedule to join too, and all the stuff you're doing. Really excited to collaborate. Lots of heart stuff, lots of claps. Nice to see. Would you like to pick somebody to go share the next story? Or would any of you like to volunteer?
Who have we not heard from? I jumped on late.
Yeah, that's true. Haven't heard from Eric, June, Empolani, Zaal, and Shans, and me and Rosmari. I would say just maybe Eric. We haven't heard from Eric, and there's 2 Erics. So Eric, we heard from Eric Westrick earlier.
Are you still over there in Georgia, Eric?
Are you nominating?
Eric, are you still over there in Georgia?
We go back and forth. So
okay.
Currently in California, in the high desert.
Living on the edge.
The team just opened store 5. So thinking back at the Fractal stories, and just congratulations to you guys for keeping this going. It's really good to hear your stories, Matt and Eric, especially about the communities that are using the tech. And I think that was the reason that I joined, and the reason I continue to be interested is governance is hard, and it's subject to bad things, Pareto. And thinking about the business and the vision that we started, wanting it to be good for the community, for each neighborhood that we're in, and then for the city that we're in, for the country that we're in. And we're thinking about going beyond Georgia in these next couple of years. And I think the reason I joined in, obviously, Rosmari, thank you for giving me a nudge. I've been thinking about reconnecting, but the tool that is being developed in different segments, I'd like to think that would become just like any other tool, spreadsheet or something like that, that we can use to give power back to the people that just show up, whether it's in our business or it's within your community or it's within whatever. When people show up and we have a way to reward that and a way to acknowledge in a very fair and transparent way, I'd love to think that at some point we will use this process to decentralize the decision-making process and the ownership of what we've started. So we're working on kind of the nuts and bolts software still, basically an ERP, front end, back end stuff. So we've been running on our software for about 3 years now, and back then is when I got pretty excited about this, and we tested the fractal process with Uno cards deck with about 70 plus people. We're up to 110 people, I think, now. But the only part of that process that actually worked for us was the randomization, putting people in different groups. So we had 4 stores at that point, and we separated everyone into groups. Beyond that, it was just not enough time to explain the respect or the rating or the categorizing of contribution. And so at some point, I think it would make a lot of sense to put that into our clock in, clock out, or our some kind of day. It could be even a daily like check-in or a weekly check-in that would utilize the wisdom of the crowds and reward people, whether they're just started within a week or they've been there for years with us. So I'm looking forward to you guys continuing what you're doing. At some point, I would love to integrate it into our own software solution so that it would be a seamless experience for the person that doesn't necessarily have any IT or tech savvy, but they interact with some kind of login touch screen or whatever. So Yeah, I cheering you guys on from a distance and quietly sometimes. It's nice to be in touch, and thanks for the moment.
So Eric, you said you have 200 people already in the same restaurant, the same fractal?
No, we don't have any fractal. We have a pizza concept, which we have 5 stores. We just opened store 5. And there is about 110 people now. It fluctuates.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. I've really enjoyed collaborating with you, and great to hear your story. So I really appreciate your support, and happy to connect more and help give you really helpful tools to work with your business too. Very excited for that. So amazing. We only have 10 minutes scheduled left, so I suppose we'll probably go over a bit because we still have probably 5 people who haven't spoken yet, and I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. So if anybody does need to go at the top of the hour anytime, then of course feel free to drop off, and we'll try to be timely and respectful of everybody's time. But we'll probably just go over a little bit just so we make sure we hear from everybody. If anybody does have a hard stop and wants to make sure that they can speak before they need to leave at the top of the hour, then feel free to volunteer to go next right now. If not, if Eric would like to choose somebody up, I see Gudasol's raising his hand.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. I'll go ahead and go. Hope I didn't jump in front of anybody who really wanted to go. So I was here last week and I did share like. So I'm hearing your mic, Eric.
Yeah, I'll just mute Eric. I think Eric had an audio issue there. Should be good now.
Cool. So last week I shared some of my like fractal story. I want to kind of like touch on what people have said so far. A lot like Josh, I'm very into the idea of like building a new Earth, but from the perspective of we don't need to really change anything that's happening. We just need to create an example. There's plenty of space. Like you can just go buy a bunch of land and then go operate a community there. So I don't see the need to sort of tear down anything, just to build new things. So the story I want to share is the story of attention and how it drives our planet, and how I believe that fractal systems will be able to change and to help us manifest a better society. What we have is groups of people who exist within cities, and these cities exist within larger jurisdictions, and then these go into countries. And we create these sort of barriers based on what we need, what the people within these areas associate with, and try to find a shared desire. And that shared desire is what we call democracy, right? So what hasn't caught up, or what's not sort of in line with that, is how we distribute content. What are the algorithms that distribute content throughout the planet? So from the very beginning, once I started with CXC, if you're not familiar, cxc.world is a map of music. And we have developed a system where we create top charts for each county, for each state within the United States, and then also for each nation all over the world. So the idea I want to share is that if we can fractalize attention, and what I mean by that is that we have a system to find what is the most relevant content for the people within a particular geographic area, and we can get that working, then we can start to break down the whole world and have these sort of mini competitions for attention at each county level, at each state level, and then each national level. The reason I believe that this is important, and an important part of the fractal story, is we're constantly manifesting where our attention goes. And whenever we have these, some people like to say mainstream media, I don't think that really matters. But whenever we have a geometric central point of attention, then there's the ability to sort of manipulate the whole consciousness of the planet. Whereas if we have these sort of micro transparent competitions for attention, and they are fractal, such that the smaller competitions filter up to the bigger competitions, I believe that we can have a much better society. So that's why I'm here. That's what I've been working on for years. We just completed the UpSmart contract for CXC. Also on the team for the Starseed. So Starseed is a 150 hectare village, physical village in Guatemala, and we have a DAO. So if anyone is interested to learn more about that, I'll pop a link in the chat. And then, of course, you can find out stuff about CXC. And that's what I have. That's what I'm excited to share. Also, it's great to see some of these faces like Matt, I haven't seen in a while, Pascal, Eric, I see you more often, but it's really, really great to reconnect. And you too, Jorge. So thank you. And does anybody else want to go next, or else I can pick someone?
Thank you very much, Gudasol. Yeah, if anybody, we have 6 minutes top of the hour, so if anybody else has a hard stop coming up, then please let us know. Wonderful story, of course. And yeah, feel free to share links too. If anybody wants to share links to help so other people can follow up with it and connect, then feel free to do so in the Zoom chat, and I'll also share the Eden Fractal Telegram chat too, where we talk a lot about fractal stuff, and you're very welcome to share links there as well over the coming days or weeks or whenever. And then also I have a link about Eric's work that I'm just responding to your question about Eric's project that I curated last year in the chat. So yeah, would anybody like to go next and share their fractal story?
To your CXC.
CXC music something that I suppose I'll share it in the chat. And I see Eric is writing Rosmari go next. Rosmari can go next. Also, she seemed to have ran away into the beach. I'd also love to hear from June. It's been I haven't seen June in a long time, but June's an awesome guy, and he's done a lot of stuff with fractals. Zaal as well. I don't know if most people have met Zaal here, but Zaal is somebody we met at Optimism Fractal. He started joining and has been a huge contributor to Optimism Fractal, and he's now starting a new fractal called the Zaal for musicians, doing really great stuff. And
I can go.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Rosmari. Sounds good.
Okay. Oh, and I'm conscious of time, and I've always been, but the fractal process helps me be relaxed with that too, because I know that others are going through similar struggles, similar wars or efforts, and devoting their time to make the world a better place with the fractal process. Since I joined last year in February through real life contact with Gudasol, which referred me to join the Eden Fractal events, I had no idea about blockchain. I just knew about the name pretty much. And since then, my eyes really opened about ways to cooperate with people. I've never really thought about this process before, never. And I've had struggles before with sharing my thoughts in public. And since then, I've become much more open and collaborative. And thank you for everyone for joining. And I'm very emotional, but I should keep it together. I have 1 minute and 40 seconds left. And I just want to thank everyone for teaching me and for also your time, and even right now hearing me speak, and for helping me make my first steps in blockchain. I have been joining you fractal events since then, and actually another milestone I think in my career now is that is Optimism Fractal, and which launched 6 months ago, and this has been growing well, and we have received amazing feedback from a whole nother blockchain. It's an Optimism super chain. It's a bunch of blockchains on Ethereum, and they're scaling a lot. So hearing amazing, excellent feedback from that community is great. Is a great feedback for the whole fractal communities, and they had nothing. They didn't know anything about fractals, and the way we introduced it to them was the game that we play, where each of us share contributions from the past weeks, and then we rank each other and then submit our consensus voting results on chain, and then the collaboration around it and the governance process that we're rolling out in Optimism and much more blockchains is really the next step in growing this, and also getting the feedback here in this event that fractal communities are evolving more than ever, and there's much more to see is crucial. And thank you very much for inspiring me. I nominate Zaal to go next.
Amazing, Rosmari. You're the best.
A wonderful story.
Oh man, I'm
Zaal.
still on my phone. I would love to switch over to my computer and share my screen. Dan, if you want to go before me, and then I'll go next.
Okay, that works. Also, haven't heard Sean's asked a couple questions, but we haven't really heard his story, so we'd love to hear from Sean's. And also June and Polani haven't heard from either of you either. We'd love to hear from you. You both contributed greatly to Fractals over the past year or two now, and it's really great to see you both. Shout out to Turquoise too. Turquoise is a friend who sometimes helps out with the fractal process too, and they're not speaking today, but just listening in. But just shout out and thanks for all that Turquoise is doing. And yeah, see, Sean says he's got to go in 5 minutes, so perhaps Sean's, if you'd like to go and speak next and share a bit of a story about fractals, then you're very welcome to. Oh, and by the way, I'm also going to just, Rosmari shared stuff about Optimism Fractal. I'm going to share some links to optimismfractal.com and lou.mosh Optimism Fractal. We'd be very honored for anybody to join. And there's a lot of great opportunities for Optimism to go there. We're hosting the next event on Thursday, 7 UTC. Everybody's welcome to join. So, but anyway, Shans, go ahead.
So first of all, I'd like to thank Dan to call me back after a year, more than a year of hiatus. So I joined back for quite a long time, I guess a couple of years, I believe. So during this time, I basically was joining different communities, doing different experiments, and there's a community called Token Engineering Academy, which basically it's basically token engineering. That means incentive engineering. That I mean everything we do in this world it has incentives that aligns with outcomes. If you don't have the incentives aligning with outcomes, everything, I mean, most probably, if you don't have the motivation and the drive, it collapses. Wikipedia is working because people have motivation to put the state of truth, even though they're not getting paid. And there are different things where people collaborate together and coordinate together, and that's the whole point of governance, right? Governance is a system of making decisions to achieve certain mission. So I'm part of a group where the MPP we discuss the different issues and topics, and the question always comes in: can we use the governance that is used in for-profit in non-profit? And yes, I understand that Fractal is experimenting on a type of governance. The big question is can it be scaled and applied? I read, More Equal Animals. It's just one of the best books, written. The question comes back in practicality. Can we use that in the large scale? That's the big question that's going to come. And the second question is how do we keep it more of a grassroots level, and ensure that the mission is preserved. I understand the mission of this group is to spread the use case of fractal, fractal kind of governance. But in the long run, I would love to see the experiment done by Eric and other guys here to see how could be applied in a large scale. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you, Sean's. Super cool to hear from you. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to following up to discuss the questions in more detail too. Those are really good questions and happy to discuss them further. And I see Zaal is here on video now too. So perhaps Zaal, you're ready to go. And if you want to share your screen, I should have mentioned that too earlier. Anybody can feel free to share their screen too. So we also do this every week and we make the videos every week. So if anyone wants to share their screen and show more at the end of today's meeting or at a future meeting, then feel free to do so. But I suppose we can pass it on to Zaal now. And thanks again so much, Shans. And let's follow up soon.
Awesome. What's up, everyone? I'm Zaal. It looks like a lot of new faces in the crowd for me because I have been coming from Optimism Fractal. This is like my probably like fifth or sixth Eden Fractal meeting, but I've been enjoying it ever since joining the first meeting of Optimism Fractal. Last week, I talked a lot more about my story. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my plan for the future. So as Dan mentioned earlier, I'm starting my own fractal for my own community. I've been building my community in Web3 for the last year and a half, but I've been a music manager for the last 5 years and just growing my brand in music. And in the last year and a half, I've seen the benefits of Web3, but I didn't want to create a token. I didn't want to create an NFT. I didn't want to sell anything, but I really wanted to utilize all this governance tooling. So when I first saw the Optimism Fractal group, I really took a keen interest because I've been a member of an in-person DAO, referenced me to Optimism Fractal, and I got pulled in immediately because I love the concept of soul-bound and illiquid tokens, especially for governance. And I kind of started to ideate over the last 6 months on how we could utilize that in our community to progressively decentralize the Zaal. The Zaal is a Z Talent Artist Organization. It's my goal is to target the niche of Web3 music initially, but apply the concept of demystifying emerging technologies, specifically AI and blockchain, for musicians to empower independent artists, to bring more of the margin back to the individual and be able to strategically partner with all of these other individuals that are out there. So I've kind of been running this the last year and a half, almost all the decisions on my own. So I have now started the Zaal Fractal to start giving out governance to individuals that are coming to our weekly meetings. We've done weekly meetings for the last about 6 months. So I've kind of prepped my group to do weekly meetings with breakout rooms, and now we're adding the fractally governance part on top of that. So I think it's a nice slow transition. We actually had our first official fractal meeting this Monday where we haven't distributed out respect. It's all off chain right now. I'm like still figuring out a lot of stuff out, but now I've started to distribute some of this respect out to my community, and that will give me an opportunity to get more community buy-in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. We are planning to do 2 weekly meetings every week, one on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern and one on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern for the individuals that can't make that first one. And I have a couple other ways of giving out points in our community just for different pieces of participation that I see fit. And I want to start putting that as proposals for other individuals. So that's kind of where I'm at, kind of very much at the start, but super excited to start going deeper into it. But I'm going to share this link. It's just our kind of a short list of the kind of ideas of the Zaal and how we're going to start progressively decentralizing our governance. And the goal is to just spread on-chain music as much as we can and build tools for musicians to use. So thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Zaal. Really excited about all you're doing for musicians and great presentation. We're a bit over time right now, so we should probably move on and make sure that we don't take too much of everybody's time, but really appreciate it, Zaal, and really appreciate everybody's here. We haven't yet heard from June or Empolini. I see Zaal just shared a link to the Zaal Fractal document in the chat. Recommend people check it out. Also, Pascal shared a link to fractal.upscale now. Upscale Fractal is doing some really exciting stuff, and he said first consensus meeting with liquid respect tokens. So congrats to the upscale community too, formerly the Eden on community, doing really exciting things. So really nice to see all the progress and Zaal Fractal, as I see he's writing that there. Congrats on the first meeting. And who would like to go next? June and Empolini, we haven't yet heard from you. Would you like to unmute and say hello perhaps and share a fractal story? If not, if you want to just listen, that's okay too. But would love to hear from you if you're, and I see June is joining us, I think. Although I think maybe there's a camera on the, or there's a cap on the webcam or something like that, so we don't see you.
Sorry, let me set up. Feel free to whoever can go first, but I'll just share a little bit once I get my camera working here. Let me.
Okay. Sounds good. And Polanyi, would you like to share a story? Thanks for joining. If not, that's okay as well. If anyone would like to share any thoughts right now, I know it's been a fairly structured meeting with person going after person and going and stuff like that. So just want to make sure that we had a chance for everybody to speak, but would love to also just have like a more casual conversation too. But I don't know if we have how much time everybody has for that, so we can always do that in a future meeting. But I'm also happy to go and share my story too while June is getting ready. Or if anyone wants to share any other thoughts, then feel free to jump in. I see a thumbs up. Oh, and I see June, so maybe June's ready to go now.
All right. Hey, really appreciate it, Dan. It's always bringing people together, and yeah, all of the consistency is incredible since how long has it been since the original Fractal meetings? But I enjoyed those times. It was really fun meeting all the people and seeing those that participated in those early meetings, and glad to see it going with Eden Fractal. So I was just here to listen. And it's great to hear everyone's stories. I just really enjoyed it, and thanks Rosmari for kind of the invite. So I'm always fascinated with everything dealing with DAOs and governance. So really appreciate everything that you guys are doing and sharing, and I always get to learn. So I think in terms of so one project that I'm planning is more of like a world coin type system where everyone gets a token, and part of that kind of architecting is just thinking about, okay, how do we do governance, and a fractal type governance, and kind of opposed to kind of the stake-based systems. And one idea I just wanted to share is kind of this idea that consensus is kind of this key concept out of this fractal governance, and Dan Larimer's more equal animal. So the idea is that you get almost to this 100% consensus, and in democracy it's it starts with 51%, so it could easily whipsaw back and forth, and not everyone's happy with it, right? So it's like and then you're starting with something that has a bare minimum kind of weight over another. So the 51% can effectively steal from, like the wolves can steal from the 49%. So the idea that at least as a bridge towards 100% consensus, this is I was thinking, okay, well, you ceasing to super majority vote, right? Like 66%. Like that's blockchain consensus. Then you go to 80%. And at the higher you get, I think you get a very different dynamic, which I think is incredibly important. That gets you to this ideal consensus where you're all agreeing, right? And you're starting with like full agreement. But I think even 80% supermajority, those kinds of hybrid systems are also kind of gets directed towards kind of this ideal. So anyways, those are the only concepts I was kind of mulling around recently, but and so I just wanted to share that. But thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's great to see everybody.
Amazing. Thank you, June. Is there something you want to say there, Jorge?
Yeah. Regarding the super consensus, I would recommend you to try to attend one of the meetings of the upscale fractal. They've been trying to work on that. For example, they had this initiative the last few weeks about reducing the voting power of someone who falls out of consensus in order to achieve a general, an absolute consensus. And because then you have the problem of the dissenters, that people that don't agree with the current decision. One thing I see in the fractal process is that it helps to legitimize where the average is, where the average of the consensus is, but it has no power in the extremes. Or I mean, meaning those exceptional contributors or those exceptional contributions are really hard to grasp from the majority. So it's really hard, just as Bitcoin, it's really hard to understand for the majority, for the big consensus of the community, what they mean. So they are really hard to be valued at the very beginning. And also for the very bad ideas, people, the majority of people will have problem understanding how bad those bad ideas can be. So yeah, you could attend the upscale fractal to learn a little bit on the process they are doing there. The other thing I wanted to highlight is Gudasol point, which I think is fundamental, really fundamental. History goes, I mean, human history goes wherever attention goes, and wherever attention goes, so destiny of entire populations go. So I do believe that the most valuable thing any human being has is not money, is not time, is his attention. So he's talking about something really deep, and that actually helps to exemplify what I was talking before, which is this is deep, and it's probably hard for the big chunk of the community to even really give an opinion about it. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight it. Attention is fundamental. It's the fundamental force we are trying to attack here.
Well said. Great points, Jorge. Great points, June. So you're unmuting there. If you wanted to follow up with any comments, then feel free. And I really appreciate your story, and it's wonderful to see you as always, and I hope that everything's been going well. Okay, so I suppose I'll go ahead and share my story. We're 15 minutes over time, so I'll share my story, then we can wrap it up when we want. If you wanted to implement any, then feel free to jump in and share. But otherwise, I'll go ahead. And I did see Gudasol was asking June for some links to where he could learn more about your work too. So if you want to share that in the Telegram chat or the Zoom chat or Telegram chat, then that's very welcome. Okay, so I'll go ahead, and if you want to put up the clock, Rosmari, for me, and I'm going to share a little bit of a history of fractal communities and a future of fractals too. So a couple of times people mentioned Optimystics. Working as a team we founded 6 months ago or so, and we've been building these fractal tools on the EVM at Optimystics.io, and on the blog page we have this article that it's kind of work in progress, but it talks a little bit. I started writing it last year about just providing a context for what's been going on in the fractal communities, basically. And so it starts with the intro to fractal democracy and more equal animals, as many people have mentioned here. A wonderfully helpful book here, and more details about this and how it provides a framework for peaceful cooperation among humanity. And then it talks a little about Eden on EOS and the first community that started with elections before we started with this kind of respect game process, or the fractal process, as some people call it. There's more links here people can learn. And I was super inspired by everything that's going on with Eden. And I had the opportunity to meet many amazing individuals there, and met many more amazing individuals and collaborators in the fractal process, or fractally meetings in the Genesis fractal. So much I could say about there, but a lot of it's been said already too. I do have a link that I'll share too, where there's like all these videos. So all these are like huge things, because there's videos that we've done, hundreds of videos, meeting everybody here and collaborating. So it's been a huge honor meeting everybody here through fractal process, basically, and at these fractals. And it's been wonderful to meet everyone here, and so many great friends and so many talented innovators. So I really appreciate it. And then Eden Fractal has been really something. It's been 2 years now, and so thank you everybody so much for everybody's contributions and supports to Eden Fractal and all fractal communities. I'm really excited how Eden Fractal can support all fractal communities with our vision and our mission to support fractals and implement fractals throughout society. And I think we're at the point now where we're going to be implementing fractals process throughout society, and like really doing that with like millions and millions of communities doing it. The tools are getting ready. It was difficult many times. There's a lot of kind of things like roadblocks in the way. There wasn't funding and so forth, but now we have some funding opportunities, and we have it built on multiple different networks, so many great things. And also, as Rosmari said too, I'm really excited about what we're doing with Optimism Fractal. Invite everyone to join Thursday at 17 UTC. I think that helps a lot with we've met so many incredible contributors there and builders, and there's also funding opportunities and so forth. So I think it's a really big opportunity, along with what's going on in the EOS community and Sybase and so forth, to grow more. So I want to put that out there. You can check out all the videos, as I said before, but each of these are really special. I think that we're really going to be making the best possible decision making for all communities and organizations over this summer and over the coming months. One thing I want to mention is that since launching Optimism Fractal, I'm really excited about Optimism Fractal, partially because it's working in the Ethereum space, which is the largest space. We have all these videos where we've been publishing. For anybody who's not been following, you can check out everything we've been doing over the past 8 months or so since we started here, and we've met a lot of amazing people. And being that the EVM is well positioned, like for a lot of people to join and start using what we're doing here with fractals, combined with what's going on in Antelope and Sybase and so forth, I think it's it's an opportunity. Like one thing I'm really excited is we're engaging more with both Optimism Collective and Base, which is bringing on billions of people on chain in the summer. That's their goal, and they're working with Coinbase. So I think that we're at a point basically where we've kind of gotten through a lot of these troughs and difficulties. One of the main reasons why I got into fractals in the first place, because I wanted to make music, and so I'm really inspired by Zaal sharing music fractal and fractal for pizza and fractal for scientists, musicians, all the ways that people can help. So I'm excited to bring these processes to help with all kinds of communities, musicians, creators, and so forth, and eventually have it where anybody can join a fractal easily, play it in person with their friends easily. We're going to have really nice apps coming soon that people can very easily play. So I think that I think we're on the point of the curve where we've gone through that long kind of like struggle, and then we're about to go up that exponential curve, and everybody's going to benefit from these fractal processes. And so I can't express my appreciation enough for everybody who's contributed to fractals and helped lead fractals and pioneer fractals, and being here and doing everything you've done over the past few years. So that's my fractal story for now. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us with it, and very excited to collaborate with you all in the third year of Eden Fractal, and the third and fourth and fifth and so forth, going forward with all kinds of fractals. Thank you.
Proud, Zach. Proud, Dan. You have been so fundamental, man. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate you so much as well, too. Really appreciate it.
So did Tadas port the smart contracts to the EVM?
Yes. So Tadas ported the smart contracts. He didn't port them, so to speak, but he built new smart contracts that do the same functionality back in last October. And so we've been playing at Optimism Fractal. We've been using the EVM-based smart contracts for the past 8 months or so now. We've done, I don't know, several hundred, several thousand transactions for everybody who's participated in the meeting so far, and done it on chain on the OP mainnet ever since October. And now Tadas, about 2 weeks ago, he came out with basically his work for the second generation of Optimism Fractal software, which is rebuilding all the smart contracts like in a really nice way with everything we've learned, making it much easier for people to implement, because the first iteration was a little bit difficult to use. So now it's like a really firm foundation that we're able to build much more on. And we've also been researching ways to build on top of that to make it really easy to play and like sign in without an account and so forth. But we have EVM contracts that have been in use, and Tadas is releasing a much better upgraded version, which he's already written and he's about to deploy in the next week or so, I believe.
Are these, I mean, this is an EVM running on which level one? EOS still, or the real EVM, the Ethereum?
So Optimism is a collection of L2 networks that run on top of Ethereum. And so there is a specific blockchain, an L2 blockchain called OP mainnet within Optimism that it is that we've been posting the consensus results on and using. So that's where it's deployed right now on Optimism, which also pins its results to Ethereum through its L2 process. So it is running on Ethereum, and it's running on the L2 on top of Ethereum called the OP stack. But this is EVM software, so it could also be deployed anywhere, such as the EOS EVM. Also Base, as I mentioned, which is the fastest growing network right now in the space, or any other network that has an L2 or it has an EVM on it.
So it's totally independent from EOS.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, it has a lot of community members from EOS who have been supporting it and using it, and EOS has the EOS EVM, so it could be deployed there, but it's an EVM software, and it's not dependent on EOS at all. That's correct.
Is it open source?
Yep. It's entirely open source.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, Dan, it's a good pick. So it's a good pick in terms of where to deploy a fractal. So good choice of chain. Optimism is very good, very good. It's designed as yeah. The ecosystem is good, so you are in a good place. So you also
Well,
community and then bring a token. It's a good.
yeah, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be collaborating with Optimism and glad you like it too. Everybody's welcome to join. We really love to see more people from the Fractal communities join Optimism Fractal. You're welcome to join anytime. And yeah, I did a lot of research into it. We have a lot of videos where people can learn more Optimism, or feel free to reach out with any questions. And I shared the website link, and I think it's a great place to foster the growth of fractals because, as I said, Optimism ecosystem with Base, they're going to be bringing millions and millions of people on, and the tools, we're tapping into a very large ecosystem of development. The EVM is by far the largest network of developers and users, and also funding opportunities too. A lot of funding opportunities there as well. So there's been amazing experience there so far, and I'm really excited about what Tadas is building because that will allow us to really bring it to the next level and make it very easy for people to do the fractal process on the EVM on all networks.
Just to mention that Vlad and Tadas both together worked on deploying it on Optimism, with Vlad working on the front web app.
Yes, thank you. And also Leonard to help with the front end too.
Are the tokens still non-transferable?
Yes, for Optimism Fractal, the tokens are non-transferable. I mean, it's all open source and configurable, so somebody could configure it differently if they wanted to have transferable tokens. I've been in contact with a developer who's building like a really nice front end that does both transferable tokens, non-transferable tokens, and redeemable tokens too. So what we're aiming to do is build like a sort of like a massive scale open source development of the EVM based software, so that people can use it for whatever kind of configuration that they want. And I was talking with Tadas earlier yesterday actually, and he was talking how he's not building a fractal app, but he's building a software app like collection or a kit or a stack that anybody can use to deploy their own custom fractal app.
Great. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it's really exciting. I also shared some links in the Eden Fractal Telegram chat. Maybe I'll follow up with that link. I could also share it before I wrap up too. I don't know if we want to wrap up now. We have been going for over 25 minutes past the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but really appreciate all the interest. Thanks so much, Jorge and Pascal, and really appreciate everybody's support and stories. It's been so wonderful to hear from everybody. Should we wrap it up now, or try to wrap it up maybe in 5 minutes so that we're only a half hour over? Or I see Rosmari saying that suggests to wrap it up soon. Yeah, and I also want to give a huge shout out to Vlad and Tadas and all the developers who have helped build the software and enable this, and then all the community leaders and business owners and so forth that have been pioneering this process as well. But yeah, if anybody has any last comments before we wrap it up, then I think now would be a good time. Otherwise, we can always talk more about these things asynchronously in chat, and also at the future Eden Fractal meetings every Wednesday and Optimism Fractal meetings. Everybody's welcome to join those, as I said too, as well as Jorge mentioned upscale Fractal meetings. I also hosting the Zaal Fractal meetings, several other events too, and I'd love to see the community collaborate more in all these different events. So thank you to everyone. I see Pascal saying, and thanks Rose and Rose for saying that same thing. It's amazing, great to hear. Does anybody have any last thoughts you want to share before we start to wrap it up? I'll maybe give like a little 2-minute presentation. I don't think I even need a presentation, but I was just going to share a link to the tools. If anyone wants to learn more about those EVM tools, then we have, I'll share a link in the Telegram chat, and I'm also planning to share in the Fractal chat and the Eden Fractal chat, where you can learn more. We did a town hall episode where I went over the tools and Tadas introduced them, and you can check out the GitHub repositories too for anybody who's interested in checking that out. And feel free to reach out with any questions there. And then other thing I was going to say is just inviting everybody to join next week's event. Would really appreciate it, and just really appreciate everybody joining to make time in your schedules. And I know everybody's busy, so really appreciate it. And I probably said that 5 times now, but just letting you all know. I see Gudasol raise his hand. So Gudasol, is there anything you want to say here?
Sure, just real quick. First of all, it's amazing to be here with everybody again. And it feels like, yeah, we're coming together to do big things in the future. I just wanted to put a little thought in people's heads. I have a project called Tetra where we're working to evolve what we did with CXC and make it a globalized currency system. We moved back the release date 2 years, so keep an eye out for that. nothing to do now, but definitely check us out and keep following and reach out sometime in the next 2 years if you'd like to be more involved with that. Thanks. See you guys next week.
Well, one challenge I'd like to highlight right now is that we have so many fractals, but still we have only one planet. So it would be great to begin to design ways to integrate these fractals, like to a bigger implementation or a single fractal for the planet. At some point, we should do it and take back our planet.
Yes, we're on a journey to, I believe, implement these fractal processes throughout society and empower all with them. So
then finally build a statue for Vlad and Tadas.
and perhaps everybody here too. To all the amazing contributors and pioneers of fractal governance and democracy. I think people in the future will be very thankful for all the things we're doing. I see Rosmari shared a link to Tetra, and Optimistics.io/tools also is a place where you can learn about the current tool set that is on EVM, and also share a link to where you can find the tools that Tadas has been building too. As I said, feel free to reach out. If anybody has any last thoughts you want to share, then feel free. Otherwise, I'm ready to wrap it up whenever you would like. Oftentimes at Eden Fractal, we wrap it up with the 3, 2, 1, and then we say go Eden Fractal. So we could do that if everybody's up for it. Or we could also maybe say go fractals too, since we're celebrating all fractals. So go fractals. Okay, we can say go fractals. Okay, sounds good. Does anybody want to say anything else before we wrap it up with a go fractals together?
1, 2.
Oh, just to, I would love us to grow in terms of numbers, bringing new people that they don't know about fractals, like newbies, like Bitcoiners, they want newbies. So we want newbies. And the only way to bring newbies is that they get something, That's what I know, to bring newbies into something which is cool. So I just talked to Vlad, building for others. That's the greatness. That's the things that we want to do. If we build for ourselves, it's not it's not really valid for me, It's newbies, they are the one that spread the message. So
yep, time to bring it to the world. Well said. Anything else? Does anybody want to share? Thank you, Pascal, of course. Does anybody else want to say anything else before we wrap it up? Give it a couple more seconds.
We're ready.
I think we're good. All right. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining and the amazing stories. Can't express how much I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you'll join us again next week at Eden Fractal, Wednesdays at 16 UTC, and support fractals around the world. We'll count down. Yeah. Hey. Happy anniversary. Thanks all so much. And 3.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Bravo. 2, 1. Go fractals! All right, thanks. I'll see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Peace.